Australia, I'm Mike Raymond. Welcome to Phillip Motor Raceway, a beautiful venue. A driver certainly to feel the pace here today is going to be Wayne Gardner. But at the moment, the Fords hold sway, Allan Moffat, and will that change?
Well, it's going to be a tough race, Mike. A lot of top gear driving, maximum horsepower on the engines over the two heats. I wouldn't put it as a lay-down Mezera yet, but certainly the Falcons are looking good both on the front row.
Well, of course, as I said, Wayne Gardner is the man that's feeling the pinch here today, coming off those two magnificent victories in the Australian Grand Prix. Wayne Gardner this morning in the warm-up, diving through into the southern loop, dab onto the brakes as he heads down to the left-hander, and then all of a sudden, around she went. But the good thing about Phillip Allan, is the fact there are a lot of runoff areas and you don't hit a lot of things.
A fabulous facility here, Mike. 280-odd acres, almost 300 acres, and it's just beautifully laid out.
Well, here's qualifying positions on Saturday. Glenn Seton, the Peter Jackson Falcon EB, showing the way. 136.53 over John Bowe and the Shell Falcon, 137.01. Then Tomas Mezera, the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore, right behind him in a new VP. Larry Perkins for Castrol, then Peter Brock in a new Mobile 1 Commodore, and rounding out the six, car number 17, Dick Johnson in the Shell Falcon EB. But of course, all of that changes on Sunday morning, as we've learned to expect. The drivers' pool for the Peter Jackson Dash, the draw. Dick Johnson holding them up. And can you believe it? 6 fastest on Saturday, and he turns the car around today, position number 1. Let's go down to Andy Raymond.
Dick, there's winners and there's grinners, and you're certainly a grinner at the moment.
Well, I'm a grinner actually, but the thing is, there's no points in drawing a prize, is it? Like it's at the end of the 3 laps that you really get the points.
At least you busted Team Peter Jackson's running, drawing position number 1.
Well, at least I'm on the front row with him, so it'll be very interesting in the first couple of corners, I can tell you.
Glenn Seton drawing position number 2. Now that's unfamiliar.
Well, I'm glad to be up the front. Larry drew the card for me, so I'm glad. Thanks to Larry. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a lot better than starting off 6th, and I just try and get the points in this dash to get that little bit extra in the championship, and I'm really looking forward to it.
The lineup now for the Peter Jackson Dash. Dick Johnson, car number 17, off pole position. Glenn Seton, fastest qualifier yesterday in the Peter Jackson Falcon, starts 2. Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore, number 11 out of 3. And Tomas Mezera, 15, the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore, out of 4. Peter Brock, 0.5, 5th fastest yesterday, starts from 5 today. And John Bowe, probably the disappointment of the day, 2nd fast qualifier yesterday in the Shell Falcon, and he has pulled position number 6. Cars are already on the racetrack, coming in prior to the start. Rolling start, 3 laps. The Peter Jackson Dash that carries 6 championship points. Glenn Seton already has 3 championship points from yesterday through being Saturday's fastest qualifier. He would love to win here this morning and pick up 6. And that gives you a good feeling before you get to the twin 16 lappers. Pace car about ready to duck to the pits. Who will win the drag down to the southern loop? Off they go, and I'll tell you, it's Dickie Johnson. Johnson got away beautifully, and here's Seton coming up behind him. Larry Perkins was quickly into stride, and there is Tomas Mezera coming up smartly into 3rd in the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore.
Well, Dick knew he had to get a good start there to hold off Glenn down into the turn 1, and he just did that. If anybody got just a modicum of a jump start, Dick did it. He really read it well and got away to a great start.
Well, the Falcons have been showing a great turn of speed here all weekend. Fastest Friday and Saturday, really a lot of horsepower, a lot of wing on, showing a lot of speed on these fast open sweepers. 4.4 kilometres around Phillip Island, and Holden Racing Team, Tomas Mezera, the only Holden being able to take the fight up them at present.
Here they come to Honda Corner. Brakes locking. Peter Brock lost out of that one. Qualified 5th fastest and has gone to position number 6 now as they head down to Siberia. And Glenn Seton perhaps waiting till the next time down the front straight, where he might be able to apply a little more horsepower.
Yes, he'll take advantage of the slipstream. He's not likely to do anything up here on this uphill climb towards Lukey Heights. Left-hander here. Quite a difficult part of the circuit where the cars tighten up for this never-ending left-hander and down into the dip.
Okay, Johnson goes the inside. Seton probably a better line coming out of that turn. And he closes it up behind Johnson. Now as Glenn Seton's Peter Jackson Falcon a little more grunt in a straight line than Dick Johnson's Shell Falcon. We'll soon see as they come sweeping up to Shell turn. Listen to those V8s as they come onto the straight. Fabulous stuff. Now, has Seton got enough muscle to be able to pull into Dick Johnson's draft and pass him? I don't think so.
No, he's not as close as he may like to be. This is still a very dicey right-hander at the end of the straight. 270 Ks, drop a gear down into 5th, through here flat, in 5th. They're still 100, 200 plus.
Look at Seton try and nail Johnson under brakes as they come out of the southern loop. Dick was saying in qualifying he still reckons he's about 20 horsepower down on Seton's cars, but there's no lack of horsepower there coming onto the main straight. Seton sitting in the draft, couldn't do anything about Dick Johnson's. We take Dunlop race cam. Dick hard at work in the flight deck of the Shell Falcon EB.
It's Glenn Seton using that wider approach, tucks it coming out of the corner, sits right in the draft of Dick Johnson's Ford dealer's Shell Falcon.
He's learnt the first time, Mike, that he needed the whole straight to take advantage of those slipstreaming. So here he's making actually an aggressive move there. A bit foolhardy, really. Should have stayed right on Dick's bumper bar until he got on the straight, and now maybe pull
2 down, 1 to go. Did he pull out of the draft a little too early? Perhaps, as they come beneath the Dunlop Bridge and pounding downhill now to the right-hander. On the way to the southern loop. Dick Johnson, the Shell Falcon, finished yesterday as 6th fastest qualifier. The turn of the card this morning took him from 6 to 1, setting the pace at the moment. Can he get a little closer this time? He's almost going to have to be sitting on the bumper and have at least 20 more horsepower, and then it's doubtful whether he's got enough there to pull Johnson down the straight to the checkered flag.
Might be thinking about brakes here at the bottom of the dip, but then there's a danger of locking them up and flat spotting your race tires. Dick's got the tight line, as he should. He's protecting his lead, and Glenn can't quite do it. Let's just see whether he takes a different approach onto the main straight this time. He's certainly close.
Well, he pulled out early last time and tries to duck down the inside, but Johnson will cover that. Or will he? Up on the inside, the last corner coming up, and now the sprint to the checkered flag, and it is Glenn Seton on the inside. Has Johnson got enough horsepower? They'll need a photo to finish it, and it is Johnson.
Door handle.
Johnson across the line just wins over Glenn Seton, and Tomas Mezera getting up for 3rd. Fabulous drive. That has brought the crowd alive at Phillip Island.
Dick, well, that's motor racing at its best.
It certainly is, and I think that's what you're going to see for the rest of the year, Andy.
You mentioned during the week you were 20 horsepower down on the Glenn Seton Falcon. Well, certainly didn't look like it there.
No, I think we turned the turbo boost up a bit, you know. It's one of those things. We've worked very hard. The boys have done a very good job over the last couple of weeks.
Oh, Ford versus Holden. The 7 Network welcomes you to Phillip Island Motor Raceway. Round number 3 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. The first of 2 16-lap heats today for points. A fabulous crowd here at Phillip Island. Obviously very keen to see the V8s at work here on one of the most natural race courses in Australia. Let's take a look at the way they line up after the Peter Jackson Dash. Dick Johnson assumes the role of pacemaker in car number 17. Glenn Seton starts alongside. Then Tomas Mezera out of 3. Larry Perkins is out of 4. And John Bowe out of position number 5. From position number 6, it's 05 Peter Brock. Then Wayne Gardner, the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore. Mark Skaife and the Winfield Commodore. Allan Jones, the series leader. Then Jim Richards out of position number 10. From position 11, Paul Morris, the Diet Coke BMW. Then it's Neil Crompton in the GIO Australia Commodore. Tony Longhurst, John Blanchard out of 14, and Jeff Full out of position number 15. From 16, it's Steve Reed in the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore. From car number 12, Bob Jones. Then it's Stuart McCall in the Car Mania Commodore. Mike Potter in the Car Trek Commodore, and out of 20 it's Chris Smurden in another Commodore VL. John Trimble starts out of position number 22. John Smith in the Caltex Toyota Corolla out of position number 22, as I said. 23 is Peter Doolan, the Impala Kitchens BMW. Mike Conway starts out at 24. Brad Stratton in the Toyota Corolla out of position number 25. And of course, starting out of position number 26, Colin Bond in the Caltex Toyota Corolla. They're having some problems with that car today. Hasn't been a good start to the championship season, with Bond electing to go the 2-litre route. And
still sorting.
He is still trying to sort the car. There's Colin Bond at the tail of the field. They come on to the start-finishing straight here at Phillip Island. The fastest man in Saturday practice was Glenn Seton, the Peter Jackson Falcon. But he finished second, as you saw earlier, to Dick Johnson in the dash this morning. So he will be, as they say, on the wrong side of the circuit for the first corner. But it really depends how much grunt you've got to get off the line. And everyone believes that Seton just has a little more horsepower at this stage, maybe 20 more than Dick Johnson. A great-looking field, a great day here at Phillip Island. Plenty of atmosphere. That's Larry Perkins and the brand spanking new Castrol VP Commodore, about 10 seconds away from the start. So get set, Australia. The V8s are ready to roar at Phillip Island. Revs are up. Flags down. Seton and Johnson side by side. Bowe, the best start of the lot of them. Bowe split a couple of cars at the start as they rush down beneath the Dunlop Bridge and look for JB in the second Falcon, and here he is trying to split them as Johnson leads Glenn Seton into the first turn, and Perkins up on the outside. The two Winfield Commodores go through, and nestled somewhere in there is Wayne Gardner as well. What a start.
Well, they're all looking for this second corner. Mike was all right to get off through the first corner, but this second loop is important to the run up to Honda corner. And as such, Larry made a very nice move there.
Isn't it great on the inside? John Bowe is really keeping the pressure on. I think he's going for it, and he is up to third.
And also keep your eyes back there in the pack. Allan Jones in the second Peter Jackson Falcon had a disaster in qualifying yesterday with a split rim, which had a deflating tyre. He pushed him back to 9th on the grid, but boy, is he going to be on a charge here, and he's already up in the top 6, it looks like, as they come around the first part of this first lap.
Well, this is Siberia, as they like to call it. When on a cold day here, it feels just like Siberia.
Exactly.
They exit Siberia. Now the run up the straight. Dick Johnson leading. Glenn Seton in second, not letting Johnson get too far away. John Bowe is third. Larry Perkins is fourth. Then we have the two Holden Racing Team Telecom Mobile Net Commodores, Thomas Mezera, and right behind him is Wayne Gardner, who knows how to get around Phillip Island.
So it's Johnson, Seton, teammate Bowe, Larry Perkins, Thomas Mezera, Wayne Gardner coming at a challenge from Peter Brock and the new Commodore VP. That's the order as they sweep around toward the corner onto the main straight. The big shell sweeper, 270 kilometres an hour as they come onto the main straight for the first time.
Listen to the sound of the Aussie V8. Some would say also the American V8s. They exit the turn. It's time now for Glenn Seton. Down on the inside of Johnson, 280 clicks, straight under the bridge into the right-hander.
He's not there yet. Dick's got the inside running here. Glenn's got to go. Whoa! He's done well. Very sporting driving there. Dick Johnson knew he was nailed, let him go. Here we come. Nice view out of Dick's roof with Dunlop race cam. And Seton did pull a quite dramatic move on him there at the end of the straight. A gutsy move that took a lot of bravery.
No shortage of speed from the V8s down here at Phillip Island. Glenn Seton 3.8 seconds under the lap record as the Daily Planet car. I think that's John Trimble gets back onto the track.
Here's John Bowe saying, boss, I want a piece of this action.
Larry Perkins looks like he's going to have a look down the inside as well as they head down to Siberia for the second time.
John got badly shafted in the draw this morning for the Peter Jackson Dash, going off the front row down to the back, and he's saying, I don't want any of this. I can see Glenn Seton, and I want to get on his bumper bar.
That's a great move from John Bowe, keeping in mind he trails Allan Jones by only 1 point in the Shell Australian Championship Series. There's Larry Perkins up on the inside of Johnson, harassing Johnson, and then of course you have Peter Brock splitting the two Telecom Mobile Net Commodores.
Larry's happy with this new car. Brought it out in qualifying. First time he practiced the car within about 15 laps, he was under the existing lap record. A lot of speed from the VP, and we're looking for more from LP as the laps and indeed the rounds go on.
He's done a great job and getting that car built just from post Amaroo to get into this field. He was tired of the old girl, wanted to get up with the rest of them with the big winged new 93 cars, and to be running like he is so quickly with just one day or a couple of days practice is a credit to his company, to himself personally.
Yeah, he's done a great job with it. Fords 1, 2 and 3. John Bowe up to second. Johnson back to third after leading this one, and Glenn Seton hauling into the distance. Next is Larry Perkins, then Thomas Mezera. Allan Jones up on the tail of Peter Brock, and right behind them is Wayne Gardner.
Keep in mind too that Larry is still running the Holden V8. He hasn't moved into the Chev engine in his own car yet, so it's an impressive performance from the Holden V8 stock block as well. Here comes Thomas Mezera, first of the Holden Racing Team Telecom Mobile Net cars. So the Ford's leading them a merry dance at the moment.
And nobody's getting too far away here, though, Mark. They're definitely a close pack by comparison with what we used to look at over the last number of years. This is tremendously competitive racing, and I wouldn't discount anybody that's in this group that we can see in picture now.
Very, very close from second back to seventh as Larry Perkins goes up the hill and drops down into the loop, down into the shell sweeper. And here's Peter Brock trying to fight off Allan Jones and trying to get the split. Back behind them is Wayne Gardner, and we'll keep an eye on that for you as they come down to the sweeper now. Just listen to these V8s as they come onto the front straight.
This is one area that requires a little bit of finesse Got to get the tail of the car around just a little bit so that it can get the correct snap onto the straight. And a lot of fellows in practice working overtime on that left-hander there. That's an important corner because it determines your speed by the time you get down to this right-hander.
This is certainly the closest of racing we could have expected, although Seton was half a second faster than second qualifier Bowe in qualifying. Second to eighth was covered by less than 1 second, so this is the sort of form we're seeing.
There's Jones up on the inside of Peter Brock. The exit to the turn we know as the loop as they head up now towards Siberia. And Allan Jones, the series leader, dives under Protect Commodore.
Great speed shot there as they sweep down toward Honda Corner. Very, very fast circuit. High average speed, somewhere in the region of 165 kilometres an hour for 4.4k. They really are honking down here, particularly in the main straight. Very impressive, 272, 80 clicks.
Well, nobody out of it yet. That's certainly anyone's run still on this uphill to Lukey Heights. Don't quite get the speed up this back straight that we see coming down the front, which is downhill. BMW just hovering on the horizon there. Tony Longhurst still not happy with his handicap that Cams have given him in the weight for age division.
Well, but, he's 20 lighter this time out.
20 lighter again from the beginning of Symmons Plains.
What's this? Allan Jones down the inside, pushes Thomas Mezera wide. And Allan Jones said this in qualifying yesterday. He was very upset about that deflating tyre, but he knew he had a great race setup, and he's proving it here now as he picks his way through the Holdens. Two Winfield Commodores follow them across the line as they come into our speed cram. But just an idea of how quick they are. They come in this long, sweeping straight into this very fast
little twitchy
right-hander.
there. Beneath the bridge was the Jones Falcon.
He's pushing it, Mike. He'd like to be up closer to his team leader, knowing that the car's got the potential. As Marcus mentioned, didn't get the run he wanted in qualifying. And it just shows that the battle for qualifying has become, not that it's never unimportant, but certainly becoming more and more important. A couple of rows on the grid is making a big difference here as the races unfold.
Well, Perkins has done a marvellous job. Brand spanking new car for Castrol, the VP Commodore. And both he and Peter Brock, who came to the island with new machinery, have acquitted themselves rather well. And here's Wayne Gardner, 16, the second of the Telecom Mobile Net Commodores. Wayne, a bit of a moment in the warm-up this morning where he looped it down in that section of the racetrack.
He was just checking the limit of adhesion. He wasn't.
I think he'd be delighted to have a spin off there.
He's delighted to be able to have a spin and still be able to drive, not have to pick himself up with a broken arm or leg or neck.
So they drop down to the right-hander again. There's Peter Brock. Made a bit of a charge there, got up through a few of them. It's been picked up, though, very quickly by Allan Jones, and now Wayne Gardner on the tail of Peter Brock as they come to the Shell sweeper again, and this is where they get on the limit. Building up to 280 clicks down the front straight. Gardner through, and hasn't he acquitted himself well this year? Tremendous, off 2 wheels into 4. Looks like he was born in a Tourer.
He's got a big future in front of him, and he's going to enjoy it.
Keep in mind, too, that Gardner is running the hardest compound tyre he could get his hands on. I think he was quoted as saying Fred Flintstone would have been happy with them. They're like rocks.
Bedrock special.
Yeah. And so as we come into the second heat, and toward the end of the second heat, I'm interested to see Gardner's progress, if indeed the other guys are running substantially softer rubber. Because Phillip Island is notoriously hard on tyres. Very high speeds, continuing radius corners, really loads the tyres up on these big, heavy cars.
The two Johnson Falcons still running second and third. Perkins is fourth. Then Allan Jones up to fifth, followed by Mezera in sixth. Brock is seventh. Gardner is eight. They exit the loop, and they're chasing Glenn Seton, who is powering away, still at that advantage over the rest of the field, and doing it very, very comfortably.
As he did have a good jump in qualifying, Mike. He was definitely the fastest each day. Friday practice, again on Saturday, put himself on pole. There was no disputing the fact that the Peter Jackson team had the Moz on this circuit. It's Glenn's home circuit, being based in Dandenong near Melbourne. He shoots down here once or twice a week, and certainly had the car really humming for this event.
Notice they're already amongst some of the 2-litre cars as our race leader Glenn Seton reels one more off in the Peter Jackson Falcon V8. Here he comes down the front straight. There's the gap back to John
Oh,
Bowe. There's the
look
second
out.
2 litre. Watch this. There's one sign going west, and it's gone. That's the winner of the Sundash earlier today. It's gone.
Such is the speed difference between these V8s and these little 1600, particularly that fast corner. See Johnson squeezed for room.
Well, he held it well. He didn't panic. Did exactly what he should have. He let the car go where it was destined to go with that bump.
Gap from first to second, 2.84 seconds. So Seton slowly building on this time. He's not in a big hurry. He's got to keep these tyres together too.
Here's the two Shell Racing Falcons, John Bowe, and now it's Dick Johnson all over him as we take it out on the Shell race score. Seton the race winner over John Bowe. Third is Dick Johnson. Fourth, Larry Perkins. And rounding out the 5 at the moment is Allan Jones. The gap first to second and third, opening just a little, almost out to 3 seconds, and the man on the charge is Allan Jones, car number 35, the Peter Jackson Falcon. So forward, 1, 2, 3 and 4.
Picked up Larry Perkins in the Commodore VP. Larry's trying to hang on there, but the Falcons really are superior around Phillip Island. Fabulous aerodynamic package, and certainly the Holden men agree with it. They've got their back wings screwed on as much downforce as they can get, and it's still not giving us that much of a traction advantage. So the Falcons on these fast, high-speed circuits definitely a superior package. But when we get to Malala and Winton, the Commodore boys are very confident they can turn the tables.
And of course, Lakeside being the next round of the championship on April 18. What a race that will be. One of the most spectacular circuits in Australia as Dick Johnson comes up, shows the nose of the car to teammate John Bowe. Bowe has none of it. 18 car is working well. And I've never seen a guy so confident about the new category of racing, or as keen as Dick Johnson, like a young man again.
No, he loves it. Takes him back to his youth. He remembers his early V8 days. And the little Sierras with only 4 cylinders didn't quite have the snap. There's nothing like a V8.
There's Dick at the moment as we take our Dunlop race cam on the brakes.
They say if you can hear them, Mike, they're working, and we could hear them then.
Very, very physical car to drive, Allan.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of, you got 1,300 odd, maybe 1,350 kilos. That's a lot of mass when he turns that steering wheel. It's not going around on automatic pilot. It's not, might be going around on power steering, but it's not going around on automatic pilot. He has to judge where he's going to place the whole mass of the car.
They're coming up on Colin Bond in the Caltex Toyota. About to put a lap on Colin as they reach the top of the hill. Now watch how quickly they gather him in. Cole tries to stay in the middle of the racetrack there, let them through on the inside. There's Perkins, Thomas Mezera, the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore right behind him.
A little wide there from Larry. He punched it a bit early, didn't quite have his steering wheel where the car was pointed, and the resultant reaction, power oversteer, is referred to.
There's the speed gap as Colin Bond, who started last in the field.
8 laps to go as they came across the start-finish line that time.
Thomas Mezera getting a bit serious now, and look at Allan Jones, the second of the Peter Jackson Falcons, moving right up behind this Shell team, the Ford dealers team.
Well, that really is a phenomenal run from AJ, starting from 9th on the position. Think how evenly matched these cars were. I said 2nd to 8th, covered by less than 1 second. To pick up that time through traffic in a race situation shows AJ's got plenty of race form here.
Well, AJ is very keen to keep his championship lead, and in order to do that, he's got to just get by John Bowe here. They're coming up on Peter Dillman and Johnny Smith in the 2-litre entries, the Impala Kitchens car of Dillman, and of course Johnny Smith in the Caltex Toyota Corolla.
That is the battle for the 2-litre race within a race there, Mike, and Dillman obviously leading it from Smith.
Actually, Jones is definitely working Johnson over here. You can see him preying on him. It's not just sitting there. He's actively planning how he's going to get by this Shell car. He may just be setting up a slipstream upper situation coming onto the main straight. He needs to be closer than he is at the moment. Down into the dip. Tight on brakes here. They've got to be careful not to lock up the front brakes. There's Allan taking a wide line on the approach to the dip, trying to get a good run out. Still not close enough, in my opinion, to be able to slingshot Johnson at the end of the straight, but he's a threat.
He is at the moment, though. You keep in mind 7 laps to go as they come across the strike. Seton disappearing into the distance. John Bowe runs in second. Johnson is third, and Jones picking up the pace. Here they come. There they go. Down into the right-hander.
They really rattle the commentary box as they come past the big booming V8s. Allan Jones got the two shell cars well in his sights. It's interesting too, Alan, quite a distinct difference in the way these two chassis are working from the Peter Jackson, the shell cars. The Jackson cars are set up very soft, move around on their springs a lot more.
Yeah,
but obviously doesn't affect the tyre performance.
No, they're chasing their handling there. They like them. The softer spring will allow the car to bite a little bit better. It's a little bit more disturbing for the driver. Lots of drivers like a really firm spring rate. And told some Formula One drivers that they couldn't tell whether they had springs in them or not. They're that hard. But it's a question of style and driving approach.
Allan Jones is certainly very happy with it. Here's the battle behind the leading quartet.
Mezera giving Larry a hurry up. But we must remember this is Larry's first run in this car, whereas the official Holden team have had the cars out since last Bathurst.
And have done a lot of development work here at this particular circuit at Phillip Island. Great shot. Shows the cars at speed winding their way up towards the top of the hill again.
Keep in mind too, with tyres being such a critical factor in this formula being so close, Larry is still basically a Dunlop customer.
Yes.
And so he's running on these customer tyres as opposed to these tyre factory back teams which are all leading the race.
If there's one thing that we could clean up in the act, it would be that, but what the actual answer is, I'm not sure. And when I say answer to a controlled tyre, something that makes it equal for everybody. But there are commercial interests at stake here, and people that have supported the category can't just be abolished overnight.
Certainly the control tyre issue is gaining a fair bit of momentum. And
well, it is, Mark, because it's right. It's, it's the type of thing that would just stabilize the economy, would stabilize the category to the nth degree. It makes it damn hard for a fellow to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on his car package and then wonder what he's allowed to buy on the weekend. I don't agree with it. I feel that the people that are supplying the tires to the select teams under contract, that's fair enough. They should make provision for the privateers.
Yeah, absolutely. They should have the same tyres.
They should be able to purchase them.
That's the barrow that Larry's pushing.
Okay, Perkins here under threat from Tomas Mezera. Brock is one back behind him, and then of course Wayne Gardner sits on the tail of Brock. This has been the scrap of the last few laps. Johnson, you recall, moved right onto the tail of John Bowe, and then as soon as Allan Jones arrived, he's fallen back into the hands of Jones, and Bowe has been able to get away from the pair of them. Great shot again, showing Mezera starting to get very serious about finding an opening. The track certainly looks wide enough, but these cars are so evenly matched as they head up the hill again.
Into the dip. Here's Larry.
Oh, there's Larry, a little sideways. Not going to do the best for the tyres. That's put a little more heat than he really needed in them.
Can't brake later than that. But he's hung on to it. Hung on to it well.
But that has enabled Mezera to get up and try and catch a draft here as they come through the shell sweeper. They have 5 laps to go this time.
This really is the absorbing technical battle amongst the Holdens. Larry running the Holden stock block V8 and the Holden racing team Commodore running the Chev American-based engine.
This is close. There's a lap car on the inside. Mezera tries to find the gap between them.
Larry's got the place to be. Oh, they've more than touched panels.
This is going to be nasty.
Plenty of tyre stretching.
One of them had to go. One of them had to go.
And he's into the ditch. Well.
Well, he held it nicely, Thomas, and Kate, you can relax. He's okay.
Wasn't that a good case for plenty of runoff areas? Mezera gets away with that.
And the damage has been so minimal.
Virtually without a scratch. Well, they'll lose some damage to that front spoiler. They run so close to the ground. But apart from that, the car's in good shape for the second heat. And that was...
Well, Larry gave Thomas one of his first professional tries as a co-driver at Bathurst. I would have thought he would have known that you don't rub shoulders with a guy like Larry Perkins on a high-speed corner like that. That was a brave move, and I think Thomas really did pay the penalty there for a little over-exuberance.
Well, certainly, as Mike alluded to before, and certainly Allan Jones was saying after Symmons Plains, this racing is so close, you get to a point where you just have to try something, maybe that 10th extra to try and get past the guy in front, and inevitably, you get a bit of paint swapping.
Mezera was running 4th in points. That will hurt him tremendously. Pick up.
Yes, when we go.
Race leader Glenn Seton through the shell sweeper. 4 laps to go for Glenn Seton, all coming together for him today. There's the gap back to John Bowe. Dick Johnson has closed up behind his team partner. Allan Jones is out to 2 car lengths back behind the pair of them.
Well, Glenn Seton obviously benefiting from his early start to the V8 series, embraced it with enormous enthusiasm last year. Raced the car at both the Sandown 500 and the Tooheys 1000 to try and get miles up. And all those development miles he's put in, the engine development, the track testing, the tyre development with the Bridgestone engineers, it's all obviously paying off handsome dividends here. Seton really is, without doubt, the class of the field.
Here he sweeps down to the right-hander at Honda corner. Let's look at the gap. There's John Bowe in second. Johnson is third. They're close. Jones still storming at them, trying to pick up the pair of them. Ford still 1, 2, 3, 4. Larry Perkins is fifth. Then it's Peter Brock, followed by Wayne Gardner. And then Tony Longhurst back there in about 7th spot, doing a good job too in the Benson and Hedges car. Then the first of the Winfield Commodores coming up, and that should be Mark Skaife.
Yep.
As we take mobile race cam as we ride with Peter Brock. Mezera is back to 13th after that drop on the approach to the loop.
Here we hear Brocky going through that 6-speed gearbox. Plenty, a little wants to let the car fade here. This is tight, keeps tightening. Look at his hands on the steering wheel. It never quite stops. Straightens up just for a second, down through the gears, into the dip, right-hander. Let the car flow through. A little bit of oversteer, it's all right. Got it back under control. Left-hander, short straight on the approach to the main straight.
This is getting tight because Gardner is closing on Brock. They've got 3 laps to go. And Gardner starting to come into it, although he was a little sideways on the exit to the Shell sweeper. That's the closest he's been to the tail of Brock's car as they scoot beneath the Dunlop Bridge and come down to the right-hander on the way to the loop. So will Brocky be able to mount a challenge inside or outside Larry Perkins? And what about Wayne Gardner?
Larry looks a little loose in the rear. He's sliding a bit, and I think Peter might have smelled a bit of blood. Thinks he can get closer and maybe make a dent in this first heat.
That's the rear shot of our Mobile One race cam as we look out the tail. There's Gardner as they go beneath the GIO bridge. Gardner closes up under brakes here.
These Holden brakes from the telecom team really do seem to be exceptional, Mark. We've noticed this at Symmons Plains and even at Amaru. The braking package on the Holden team really quite superb.
And they're not afraid to change them around either. They had the twin caliper setup at Symmons because it's so damaging on brakes. They're going back to the single caliper setup this weekend because Phillip Island not nearly as hard on them.
Yep.
But there's certainly no shortage of braking power.
Look at the BMW starting to claw away.
Okay,
what a difference 20 kilos makes at Phillip Island.
What a day, a difference a day. And let's remember that the finishing order of this heat is the starting order for the second heat.
There's Tony Longhurst.
Would like to have more weight out of the car, of course. Feels he can do better. I'm sure that's the case.
They've got 2 laps to go as they sweep through the Shell turn and down the start-finishing straight here at Phillip Island. Peter Brock trying to haul in Larry Perkins. Gets close to the tail of the car, probably gets the draft. Been easier if he'd caught it just a little earlier on the approach to the straight. And actually Gardner, who was sitting on the tail of Brock, has faded.
Now you can see how hard he's working inside. Keep in mind the Falcons use a power steering system, whereas the Commodores use the old manual steer. And Allan, there'd be a hell of a lot of load coming through that steering wheel, wouldn't there?
Absolutely, Mike. The wheels are 12 inches wide and a footprint of flat treaded tire. The demands on the driver's arms are quite excruciating, and I don't think it's sissy for the Falcons to have it at all. Surprisingly, the Holdens used to have it. Might be a delete option or chasing weight.
Well, Gardner's back. Couldn't catch him in the previous shot as they came down the front straight, but he's been able to pick it up again. He's back on the tail of Peter Brock, and Brock is making a move on Larry Perkins, and all the time that little bimmer is starting to catch them. Tony Longhurst could play a major role in the outcome of the second heat later today. Brocky and Wayne Gardner right behind him.
Larry's car running plenty rich. Look at that black smoke coming. Engine management system is is doing his job, but it's only doing the way it's been set. So Larry running rich here today. A coolish, overcast day, so the engines are loving it, and Larry may have set himself up just a little bit more rich, chasing a bit more horsepower.
They're already on their last lap. Glenn Seton has been across the line. There's the gap. Perkins getting away a little from Brock, and there is Wayne Gardner. Race leader is Glenn Seton, the Peter Jackson Falcon V8. Out to about 4 seconds as he leads the two Shell drivers, John Bowe and Dick Johnson. As they sweep beneath the Foster's bridge, come down to the right-hander at Honda Corner. There's John Bowe getting a little bit closer. He's made up a lot of ground, JB, and there's Dick Johnson back in third. Allan Jones back probably 3 seconds behind that group.
I think Glenn is actually in conservative mode. Mikey's thinking about the second heat. He feels pretty comfortable that he can go to the flag now without too much of a threat from the Shell car, though he wouldn't want to make a mistake.
Well, there's the gap. There's Dick Johnson just going through, and a long gap then back to Allan Jones in car number 35 to the top of the hill. Just picks up the inside wheel as he thunders over the top. JB gets a little closer on the downside of that now through the right-hander. On the approach now to the Shell sweeper. And here comes Glenn Seton, the Ford Falcon V8. Good day for Ford here so far. Coming into the last turn now. The exit. And now the checkered flag is ready for Glenn Seton. He's going to lead 4 Falcons across the line. And here comes Seton. The young Victorian takes heat number 1 this afternoon over 16 laps at Phillip Island. John Bowe gets across the line in second. There goes Johnson in third. And then we have to look up the straight as we await the arrival of Allan Jones in car number 35. Well done, Glenn Seton. That was no easy race as Larry Perkins and Peter Brock get across the line, followed by Wayne Gardner. He had to fight for it, and he had to take the inside advantage to do it. Let's recap them for you. Glenn Seton, the race winner in the Peter Jackson Falcon EB over John Bowe and the Shell Falcon. Third was Dick Johnson, followed by Allan Jones, and Larry Perkins rounded out the 5. And we'll be back at Phillip Island in just a moment. And so the crowd waits in anticipation before the start of heat number 2 this afternoon at Phillip Island International Motor Racing Circuit. Let's take a look at the top 10 following the first heat earlier today. Glenn Seton on pole position, car number 30. Starting alongside of him will be John Bowe in the Shell Falcon EB. Out of position number 3, Dick Johnson in car number 17. Out of 4, 35, Allan Jones, the Peter Jackson Falcon. Out of 5, number 11 is Larry Perkins. Position number 6, 05, Peter Brock, the Mobile One Commodore. From 716, Wayne Gardner, the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore. From 825, Tony Longhurst, the Benson & Hedges BMW. Keep an eye on him. From position 9, 1, Mark Skaife, the Winfield Commodore. And of course, out of position number 10, number 7, Neil Crompton, the GIO Australia Commodore. 10 seconds away from the start. Heat number 2 at Phillip Island. Glenn Seton, car number 30, the Peter Jackson Falcon. And right alongside him, John Bowe. It's Seton off the line, but Bowe picks up another gear and takes the lead. As they go beneath the bridge, it looks like Neil Crompton has stalled on the starting line in the GIO Australia car. But it's John Bowe who will lead them down this Crompton's GIO number 7 car as they sweep down towards the loop for the first time. Perkins got away to a reasonable start, not a good start by his standards, and JB takes command. Glenn Seton in second, Johnson is third, and it looks like Wayne Gardner may have made it up there in company with Tomas Mezera as they sweep through the loop, and the little BMW there of Tony Longhurst is in contention.
Yes, he is, Mike, and that's where paying dividends from the first heat. A good finish in the first heat gave him a good starting point, or a better starting point than he had earlier. But here we have
Allan Jones, and Jones has made contact, has he? In 16 sitting there, and that of course is Wayne Gardner. I notice a whole group of cars coming together in that bottom corner. So Gardner, I think it was Colin Bond going through there in the last of the tail enders.
Well, that's a pity because he was up. He got a good start. He was on the inside run for the first corner, and he looked like being a reasonable threat here in the second heat.
Well, Larry Perkins got pushed back a long way at the start, but word Neil Crompton, the engine was still running when he was left on the start line here, so we suspect some sort of transmission problem. It's a great shame for the GIO Commodore team. But John Bowe will lead them round. Glenn Seton in second position. Dick Johnson completes the Shell sandwich.
Let's have a look as we take our race cam. Exactly what happened here. Allan Jones getting a back wheel up on the curb.
Well, I think he tried to avoid him.
And that
Might
was
have been one of
Brocky.
those.
Very, very fortunate that that was the Mobile 1 race camera, Peter Brock. So a touch up there as they come streaming across the line, and I tell you, this one could go down to the wire. Seton tried to pull out of the draft, but John Bowe holds onto it as they run down into the right-hander on their way to the southern loop. Dick Johnson runs back in third spot. Allan Jones is fourth. And Seton already showing that he wants to go to the front and lead this one. But he'll have a hard man in front, John Bowe. He won't leave too many gaps open. Oh, we've had one back here, Peter Brock and Larry Perkins getting together. Crowd love that. Not quite sure if Brocky did. There's the rest of the little bimmers going through. As John Bowe sees car number 30, Glenn Seton, go up the inside of him to take over the lead. So Seton stamping his mark so early in this second heat. He won the first.
A good move under brakes there from Glenn. He was shadowing John as close as he could, and obviously aware that he needs to make every lap a winning one.
With this
want to be chasing John Bowe around for...
Let's take a look at Peter Brock's up. It's gone, and he's chasing it across the grass. Brocky picks it back up, and you'll find Perkins will go through on the inside. Out of harm's way. Hasn't done too much for the tyres, but he's back in.
Speaking of tyres, this second heat will be crucial. It's been a tyre battle all through this championship, particularly at Phillip Island. Big high-speed circuit, very hard on the rubber. These guys would have been mindful of another 16-lap heat to come.
Here
we'll
comes
see the big battle.
Through the shell sweeper. Listen to the V8's roar now as they come through here.
Well, Glenn's got it nicely under control. Swoops onto the main straight, just touches the gravel on the right.
Okay, Glenn Seton sweeps through. Let's go down to AJ in the pits.
Yeah, as the leaders go past the pit lane, Neil Crompton is one guy who desperately loved to be out there. Neil, much problems on the start.
Jumped away from the line, or went to jump away from the line, and he had no drive at all. So obviously we've broken an axle or broken a clutch or broken something.
Quite disappointing standing here watching the guys. You were, I spoke to you before the event, you were expecting big things.
Well, I deliberately tried to be very conservative in the first heat. We've got great new Dunlop tyres, which are showing no wear, and they were looking good after the first heat, and we were with the right bunch of cars. Would have been nice to get a good result, but maybe Lakeside.
Back better at Lakeside. Thanks a lot, Neil. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Andy. Bad luck for Neil Crompton. He did really conserve his car in the opening heat and was looking forward to doing some big things in the second heat. Tomas Mezera, car number 15, the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore. Right behind him, Larry Perkins, the Castrol Commodore, car number 11.
I don't think Tomas will be too keen to let Larry by.
That's the battle for 5th and 6th in this second heat today.
Seems to be the pickings the Holdens are going to fight over. The Falcons clearly superior at Phillip Island this weekend.
And Tony Longhurst in the BMW sits back behind Perkins as they go over the top of Lukey Heights. And here's Allan Jones making yet another close on Dick Johnson. He did this in the first heat, but then fell off the pace. I wonder whether to conserve his tyres for the second heat. Once again through the shell sweeper. Jones honing in on the tail here of Dick Johnson as they come out of that turn through the sweeper and now down the start finishing straight. Let's take a look at the grunt department of the V8s.
Yes, it's a good showing from the Shell team, considering the jump that Seton had with his pre-testing qualifying last year. Alan Mertens, the engine builder for the Shell team, very busy on the dyno since Symmons Plains as we go inside with Dick Johnson, Dunlop race cam inside the Shell Falcon. But no shortage of grunt from the Shell Fords this weekend. I was having a look at the wing angles on both the Shell cars and the Peter Jackson cars, running the same amount of downforce. So Dick would appear not struggling for horsepower now, and more than a match for the Peter Jackson cars.
Well, he's got a top professional team, and people like that just put their nose to the grindstone. They might be behind the 8 ball from time to time, but like any true professional, they come back and give it a stab for everything they've got.
Glenn Seton disappears to the bottom end of the circuit. Larry Perkins at this stage trying to contain Tomas Mezera, and Tony Longhurst, I believe, just gaining marginally on these two in the little Benson and Hedges BMW M3. They disappear on the way to Lukey Heights. And you're right, Alan, I think Tomas will try and plot his pass on Larry maybe a little better than he did in the first heat.
Well, this is a real credit to Perkins and his company. Truly, all the General Motors money is behind him, and he's built this car inside of 6 weeks and come out with a vengeance first time up. Terrific act.
They sweep through the top bend And Dick Johnson's car just a little taily as they came through there. Allan Jones on the scent now. He's moved up into the draft of Dick Johnson as they come howling down the front straight here at Phillip Island. Will he pull out and pass? Better have done it by then, or there's a little gap opens up on the inside as Johnson comes down behind his team partner, John Bowe. They sweep through there. Fascinating race we have going with Glenn Seton, race leader. Second spot being held by John Bowe. There's third, Dick Johnson, and fourth is Allan Jones, our ex-Formula One champion. And the gap from first to second is 3.26 seconds as Jones gets up on the inside. Race cam shows it. Jones up here pressuring away on the inside and takes third spot. Great pass from Jones. He's the man on the move here today at Phillip Island after Glenn Seton, of course.
Oh, that was nicely done there. Just enough speed coming out of the southern loop to wind up through the left-hander and nailed Dick in his tracks there on the approach to Honda Corner.
I'm delighted to say joining us in the commentary box here today at Phillip Island, Juan Manuel Fangio II. And I know he needs no introduction whatsoever. Fantastic IMSA form drives with Dan Gurney and the Team Toyota in the United States. He's out here for the Hardy 12-hour race next weekend. Juan, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You enjoying this?
Enjoying very much. It's an excellent race, very close. It's very good to watch.
They make a lot of noise, don't they?
Yeah, very powerful engine. I think it's a wonderful series, a wonderful class, and also a wonderful racetrack.
Well, you're in Australia only for a very short time, running next weekend. Then you're back to Atlanta to continue the championship trial.
Yeah, exactly. So right after the race, I need to come back. I have testing in Atlanta, and the race will be the following weekend.
Well, you're for Toyota at Bathurst next weekend. You're co-drivers for Bathurst?
Yes, and the race will be the 12 hours, and I think we will have a very good chance. I've been driving the car, and I think the stick very good, and I think we will have a very strong car for the 12 hours. I mean, the MR2 is a wonderful machine.
Well, teaming with one next weekend, Rick Bates and Peter McKay. I hope he's a little more positive than he has been about the 5-litre formula this year. At the moment, we're following the lead, and that, of course, is Glenn Seton. Comes down to Honda Corner. John Bowe, reasonably close, and Allan Jones looking like he wants a 1-2 for Team Blue.
Yes, I don't think they've done. I can't recall when they have done that. It would be very nice for Glenn Seton and Peter Jackson to get a 1-2, but he's got to get by John Bowe still.
Well, JB's going to make it reasonably hard. He led the race momentarily until gathered in by Seton after a circuit, but Jones looks like he wants to go on with this. He's been able to stalk Dick Johnson, past Johnson very, very cleanly, and now makes a move up to the top of Lukey Heights.
Yes, he's very close here. He's setting up John for a slingshot off the main straight. John driving a little defensively there on that corner. He's served notice to Allan what his intentions are, but certainly close enough to be right in the draft, as we say. It's costing him nothing to go through the air. John Bowe's doing all the snow plowing for him, and he should be able to pull out about midway down the straight. Still not. This is chicken time down here. I doubt whether he'd want to. Still sizing him up. Michelle Falcon not what you'd call outgunned down the straight then.
On the brakes now, they're coming up behind a lapped car. 2-litre car to hopefully stay out of the way. They'll go both round the outside. Jones pockets himself in momentarily, now pulls out. 3.35 seconds, the gap from first to second. The leader, Glenn Seton, disappearing away from 18. John Bowe and Allan Jones and the Peter Jackson Falcon back here in third. Going to make a wide turn and try and get it on the exit to this turn.
I don't think so.
No. No, so JB's doing a pretty fair job. One, these look like a fairly physical car to drive.
Yes, it looks like it's a very busy car because you can see that there is a lot of horsepower coming from the car, but that makes the race very exciting. I think people like that. I enjoyed the race very much because of that.
Well, we were saying earlier, these are like well-handling NASCAR road course cars. They're plenty of noise. The fans love them, as Wayne Gardner heading back to the pits in car number 16, the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore, as John Bowe in car number 18 continues to try and fend off Allan Jones. Jones is all over the tail of the 18 car.
Well, Jones will be remembering that he got $1,000 for getting involved with Mark Skaife at Symmons Plains. He got a $1,000 fine, that is. And he's not about to barge John Bowe here, but...
No, I'd rather doubt he would. Here's Gardner coming in for his stop. He's telling, and he doesn't look very happy at all, Wayne.
No.
That almost...
Now he dropped the clutch in front of the start-finish line here, revving the backside off those tires. John Bowe in front. Allan Jones shadowing. Dick Johnson not too far behind. Certainly would pick up any pieces if there was any altercation between these two cars.
Here comes Jones again. Always takes a wide entry point here. JB just sneaks her around the inside, and Jones just trying a couple of different maneuvers. He wants to make sure he can pass Bowe cleanly.
He's just trying to look like a windshield wiper behind John Bowe, Mike. He's just trying to rattle John. They won't find him too rattleable. Good Webster's dictionary word there for you.
Okay, they swing up the straight. Jones still sitting here in the draft of John Bowe, and in fact, notice that they haven't gotten away all that far from Dick Johnson in the 17 car. They drop down into the right-hander again. Maybe he's biding his time. And back one behind the Ford parade here today is Larry Perkins in the Castrol VP Commodore. One, thanks very much for popping by. Good luck next weekend. Continue the good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Juan Manuel Fangio the second in Australia. Great to see him here enjoying the V8 5-litre action at Phillip Island that only Australia can produce. Bowe across the strike, and Jones sitting in the draft pulls now to the outside as they head down the hill. Bowe will have the lie for this turn. But it is very, very close. And Johnson not that far back behind them.
No, I think because John Bowe's driving on the defensive side, it is slowing their maneuvers between him and Allan Jones, and Dick's just crept up a little bit there.
Here comes Jones now. He's going to try an outside pass. No, as Allan has pointed out, JB's doing a bit of defensive stuff here, because you notice they were able to run away and hide virtually from Dick Johnson. And since Jones caught the pair of them, split them, and now sits in behind Bowe, he has been unable to do anything with it.
Well,
it's getting close now. He's starting to get into Parnelli Jones territory again.
Just to think about
a tap.
A tap and just let him know that he's serious about it.
We did see what seemed like hundreds of kilometres of bumper-to-bumper racing with John Bowe in the Sierra and Tony Longhurst in the BMW last year, and really got an excellent graphic illustration of JB's racecraft. And he's one of the most aggressive racers around. So him and AJ, there's sure to be fireworks as the race develops.
He doesn't succumb to pressure. And Allan Jones is quite capable of exerting plenty of it. But this could go to the wire.
Sure,
Allan just can't quite find the point.
Stand by. I think you might have a challenge coming on here. This is the closest he's been right across the line. There's Seton. He's your race leader. And here comes a lap car. Stay to the left, because here comes Jonesy down the outside.
Still
Got
not
the pedal
enough
to the
time.
floor.
No, and he's going to wind up here behind Peter Dillman. No, he makes it. So Allan Jones gives the PJ team a 1-2 in this stage of the race as Jones comes up on Peter Dillman in the Impala Kitchens 2-litre BMW. So here is the order on the Shell scoreboard. Glenn Seton is your race leader. Allan Jones, his teammate, runs in second. Back there in third place is John Bowe, Dick Johnson fourth, Larry Perkins fifth, and back in a tick. Second heat continues as Tony Longhurst ducks down the outside of Peter Dillman in the BMW M3, leading the 2-litre class here today. Longhurst has his hands full as well. There's Dillman going through. Been a pretty lonely chase for Peter for the 2-litre title. He's got Brocky up his tailpipe, but he stays to the inside, doesn't impede Brock at all. So I said, a pretty lonely old battle. The 2-litre class getting off and running in conjunction with the 5-litre variety. And the Impala Kitchens car has been at all the rounds, which is more than a few other drivers who indicated they would chase it in the 2-litre category have certainly done. So he's done well. Tony Longhurst at this stage in the number 25 B&H car. 23 sits just back behind him. They've been having a great scrap in this race.
Tony Longhurst in 7th position, his teammate 8th. So he's
What we're looking at is market forces at play here too, Mike. The championship the rules change was announced simultaneously to all and everyone concerned. It wasn't a 5-liter exclusive. It was a 5-liter and a 2-liter announcement, and people have voted with their checkbooks. They've gone for the V8.
Well, as you can see, Longhurst 20 kilos lighter. He's had the Jenny Craig fix-up before this one, following Symmons Plains. And I would think he'd be looking forward to a better result by the time we go to Lakeside, as we take our 7 Sport race camp. 5 laps remaining as they come across the strike. And the 2 Peter Jackson Falcons continue to lead. Glenn Seton over Allan Jones, then John Bowe, Dick Johnson. So forwards 1, 2, 3, 4. Gives you an idea of the Phillip Island layout, Allan, as you zip downhill here now. Takes your breath away.
Yes, certainly. At Bathurst, we've got Skyline. All you see is the sky. And when you come down the Gardner Strait at Phillip Island, if you make a mistake, it's Bass Strait that you're going to be landing up in.
Well said. Who's riding your lines? Okay, coming up to another of the slower cars here. Staying to the right, it was Mezera, I believe, just up a little further, that locked up a brake going into that corner. That'll give you an idea of the speed difference. And they're doing that about every 4 laps or so. A great circuit, beautiful layouts, free-flowing turns, drivers rated as one of the best in the country, and with very good reason.
Superb turn in there with Tony Longhurst BMW. Great handling car.
We take looking at Jimmy Richards, car number 2, the Winfield Commodore. Jimmy running in 10th spot. Mark Skaife, of course, started from the back of the grid. He elected in the opening heat to come in and change tyres, so that automatically put him at the back once you do change tyres, and a 20-second penalty. He was not the only one. The Lansvale Smash Repairs car also did the same, the Ashby Reed car.
Freddie Gibson and the Winfield Commodore team been in plenty of trouble at Phillip Island this weekend.
Well, they're learning the ropes. They haven't got the advantage of 4-wheel drive anymore, Mark, and now they're in the boat with everybody else.
4 laps to go, and just a bit of the back, the Castrol part. John Sorzak and the boys would love that on Wayne Gardner's car, where he's had that little touch earlier with I think it was Allan Jones on the at Honda Corner, not causing anyone any problem as Gardner continues. We all expected an outstanding showing from Gardner at the Island this weekend. Perhaps too much was expected. He was over-promoted, if you could use the term. Anyone thought he was going to step off a bike, set quick time and win this one. Still feeling his way. A couple of car problems today, but he'll still give it a shake as the season goes on.
Oh, he's acquitted himself extremely well to date, Mike. 3 races.
Okay, he exits that corner. Dunlop race cam, Dickie Johnson, Pride of Queensland in the cockpit. How's it go, Dick?
Yeah, okay.
How's it going, Dick?
Oh, still going.
Yeah, I know that. Back to, what, 4th?
Yeah, we've got shuffled back a bit, but, you know, that's obviously the nature of the way our cars are. We're not making any excuses. Like the Peter Jackson cars are going terrific.
How much do you think the horsepower deficit is between the 2 teams at the moment?
Well, I think it comes down basically to the amount of testing they do here, and they've obviously got a very good setup, and their tyres are working very well here. I think they're lucky it was a cool day.
Yeah, that's a plug for your rivals. Now, when you go to Queensland or Lakeside for the next round, you should have the wood on most of them.
Well, geez, I hope so, Mike, because I'd really like to win in Queensland.
Should be a hell of a race at Lakeside.
Well, I think there's going to be a huge crowd there. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'll let you get back to work. Thanks, mate. Dick Johnson, a free plug for the next round of the Touring Car Championship. That, of course, is at Lakeside on Sunday, April 18. You'll see that exclusively on the 7 Network. 3 laps remain. And the order is Team Blue. The Peter Jackson cars of Glenn Seton and Allan Jones lead from John Bowe. And then Dick Johnson back in 4th spot. Larry Perkins would be in 5th spot.
Yep, first of the Commodores.
Thomas Mezera in 6th. Peter Brock carries our Mobile 1 race cam. Qualified so strongly yesterday. He's been in the thick of it today, certainly in the wars. Always a very stylish driver. He's not too far behind those little BMWs that have been able to get by him. That should keep him stirred along.
No, he won't like that too much.
Here debuting the brand new mobile Commodore VP. A tight in-house operation with the new Advantage International race team set up in Melbourne, doing their own engines. Marlborough Holden dealer team engine builder Neil Burns on the job. So Peter slowly pulling the mobile team together, gathering the momentum for the race, which counts the most for PB, and I guess every race driver in Australia, Bathurst, in October.
I think he'd like to do something a little before Bathurst, though, just to say. Into the right-hander. There's the little bimmers just up in front of him as Glenn Seton comes down to take the signal with 2 laps remaining. Heats here at Phillip Island today, 16 laps in duration. And the Fords running very, very strongly. There's Mark Skaife, the defending Australian Touring Car Champion. John Trimble there, and the Daily Planet 41 car has had a bit of a lose down at the...
Crowd tapping. Must have been quite a lose.
Well, there was plenty of blue smoke there, and it came off the tyres. Mark Skaife, as we said, driving the Winfield Racing Commodore, the defending champ.
I said before, Freddie Gibson was quite adamant, admitting that they are in big trouble here. The car's got a fundamental handling imbalance, understeering on the way in, oversteering on the way out, and they've chased it all weekend and haven't really been able to get on top of it, which is representative of their times 8th and 10th, I think they qualified. So a lot of work to do for the Winfield team before they get to Lakeside.
Glenn Seton, car number 30. Allan Jones runs in second spot. Glenn would be well aware of that as they come through the southern loop and now work up to Siberia. There's the gap. First, second and third.
Third
not too shabby.
Behind,
and there is fourth. Dick Johnson going through. We'll wait and see. There's fifth, Larry Perkins in the Castrol machine. Sixth, there's Thomas Mezera. Seventh, of course, is Tony Longhurst. Paul Morris is eighth. And then back there in ninth is Peter Brock. And Wayne Gardner, of course, is down some time because of his pit stop. But coming through the Shell sweeper, shortly to acknowledge the 1 lap to go signal, Seton is basically doing what Allan Jones did at the last round of the Shell Touring Car Nationals. Across the strike now, 1 lap to go. Looks like being a stellar day here at Phillip Island for Team Blue.
It's really... Sorry, Mike, I was going to say, it's really fabulous to see the whole Glenn Seton Peter Jackson operation came together. He left the comfort of a factory Nissan Works drive in 88, set up his own Sierra team in 89. It's been a long, hard struggle through the Turbo Ford Sierra days. Now he's come into this new V8 category and he's taken to it like a duck to water. His enthusiasm for these new cars and this type of racing is unbounded. And certainly the amount of testing and development he put in last year is paying very handsome dividends at the 93 season.
Yes, and to run a team, Mark, and run 1-2 on the road is no mean achievement.
Well, you would know
the camaraderie between Glenn and Allan Jones is self-evident. The team...
Oops.
Trouble here for Larry Perkins, who's slowing. That's bad luck because he has been an outstanding performer here today in the Castrol number 11 car.
That's a pity.
And in the meantime, car number 30, Glenn Seton, headed for the top end of the circuit near Lukey Heights. Jones closing a little as Glenn backs it into conserve mode here for the last couple of turns. Might be looking at a little close form finish, but keep in mind JB's only a couple of car lengths.
Too formish.
He's closing hand over fist in this last quarter of a lap.
He certainly is. They're heading up to the Shell sweeper now for the final time. Car number 30, Glenn Seton. Well, if the fans came expecting a Ford victory at Phillip Island today, here's a very happy team as they wait for their driver. Bowe Seton waits for his son Glenn Seton. They come out of the final turn. And Glenn Seton in car number 30, followed by Allan Jones as they come down to the line, side by side almost for that beautiful form finish. They've done it here today at Phillip Island. John Bowe takes third, Dick Johnson takes fourth, and a long way back to fifth and sixth. So Glenn Seton, car number 30, the Peter Jackson Team Falcon, wins from teammate Allan Jones. There's confirmation for you on the Shell scoreboard. John Bowe places in third, Dick Johnson fourth, and the first Holden home was Thomas Mezera in the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore.